Well, it's time for week 3 of Love is Blind season 8, guys, episodes 10 and 11. It's a short week, but I've come across some footage that you've never seen before. It is the search history on Amazon for Dave. Let's roll the footage. Yep, gaslighting. That's something that he's familiar with this week. Let's get into it. What's going on, you guys? James here with another real recap and review of Season 8 for Love is Blind. We're getting into Week 3, Episodes 10 and 11, and I know what you're thinking. Yes, I am wearing an Angel Reese jersey. Shout out Skytown. Let's go, y'all. Yeah, big Angel Reese fan over here. But besides the point, we're going to get into Episodes 10 and 11. These episode titles are just crazy this season, and there's one that's like, Oh, Spare Me, and there's another one. I can't remember the other episode title, but they're getting clever with it. And there's a lot to unpack, and I mean like a lot to unpack. So before we get into that, if it is your first time here at the channel and you do love Love is Blind, hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, tap on that bell, like this video so other Love is Blind fans can see it, right? And get loud in the comments below and let me know after week 3, which couple is now your number 1. Because guys, I want to give you a little bit of a ranking of my own. And I wrote this ranking out, of course, before all the hubbub of week 3. So here's my list of worst to best couples, in my opinion, for season 8. We're going to start with number 5, Dave and Lauren. They are just, listen, this is again before week 3, right? They're just not good together, okay? We know Dave is leaving. He's making all the excuses in the world, okay? Number 4 is Devin and Virginia. I don't know. There's something there after the whole prenup conversation. I think Devin is starting to maybe check out, but we'll see what his reaction's like in this week when we get into our spoiler-filled recap section. And number 3 is Ben and Sara. You know, I just have a funny feeling that whenever Ben and Sara really start having substantial conversations, things might not work out so well. I don't know. Ben seems to be compromising a lot, and same thing with Sara, maybe. So number 2, Joey and Monica, the golden retrievers of this season, you guys. They are so, well, rumor has it they're still laughing together, so that's a good thing. Number 1, my favorite couple after week 2 has to be Daniel and Taylor. They've seemed to work through all the difficulties, and they seem really good together, and I like their parent meetings, and it was so mature, and Daniel speaks so highly of Taylor, and Taylor seems like she does love Daniel, so, I mean, why not be the number 1 couple this season? But y'all let me know what you think. Now, remember, these are my thoughts after week 2. But for week 3, that list might change a little. So, alrighty, y'all. Let's get into my spoiler-free thoughts. Again, time codes are at the bottom if you want to skip ahead to my spoiler-filled section. But for those who haven't watched week 3 yet but want my thoughts on whether it's worth watching, it is. Season 8 overall has gotten much better from week 2 onward. I mean, the couples meetup was relatively dramatic this week as well, which the payoff was worth the wait, I think. So much tea to unpack during the reunion if the Lachey's do their job well from this one couple's meetup. Seriously, there's a lot, and I think it's episode 11 if I'm not mistaken, where we get most of the drama this season. There's some dramatic conversations in episode 10, but for the most part, episode 11, y'all want it messy, huh? You got some mess in episode 11, especially when some contestants show up. Yeah, one rocking pink hair. We'll get into that. There were some moments, though, outside of the drama that I was expecting to be stronger, like the wedding dress shopping and tuxedo shopping moments. Lately in Love is Blind, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, we haven't had a strong moment with our contestants and our couples going and picking out their wedding dress and their tuxedos. It's felt kind of just like they've skirted off to the side and they don't care about these moments when they should be pretty cool. But there's like hardly any parents involved on the men's side, and on the women's side, everyone just picks their first choice except for Taylor. And I don't know, it felt like it was underwhelming to a degree, especially the tuxedo shopping. I mean, some of these guys picking suits, and I'm like, y'all getting married? Or y'all going down to South Beach, you know? The highlight of the week, though, was clearly the Dave-Lauren drama. Now, I'm not getting into the specifics in this section. Of course, I will in the next section, but Dave and Lauren, their relationship was like a ticking time bomb after Dave decided not to trust his fiancée, Lauren, like we talked about in week 2. But week 3, it comes to a head, and my intro is going to make so much sense after we talk about what he did, because that man, Gaslights would definitely be in his search history. And my last note in the spoiler-free section, of course, is, well, I guess I want to give an answer now that I've sat on this for a little bit. Week 3 is strong, but I think week 2 is a little bit stronger. As weird as that sounds, I think the drama is better in week 3, but the consistency, the pacing of the episodes is better in week 2, even though we got the terrible Honduras vacation moments. It's just, what are we doing? Why are we making these so short? Maybe it was so boring. But my thought still stands that week to week, the season's getting better. So week 4, which is, of course, next week, is episode 12, the weddings, the finale. We'll be talking about it, and it's going to be crazy. I mean, I think. I haven't started watching it yet, so no spoilers in the comments, if you know any spoilers. But, y'all, that's all I can really say spoiler-free, right? Because I want to get into the spoiler-filled discussion where we have a lot of fun. So if you haven't watched episodes 10 and 11 just yet, hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, save this to your watch later list, and come back and let me know in the comments what you think of what mess we're about to get into, because, man, I'm scrolling through my notes right now, and I got a lot of bold headlines and words. Whew. All right, spoiler warning, you guys, because from this point on, we are diving into the golden chalice of spoilers for week 3. Was that punny? Maybe not. Alrighty, guys, so now we're getting right into our time in Minneapolis with our engaged couples. We'll start with Ben and Sara. Now, let's dive into the day after the TikTok conversation. They're at this coffee bar, it looks like, and they're having a deep talk about what just happened. If you need a refresher, well, basically, Sara was on the couch and the producers were like, hey, go on this video right here. Let's stage this entire drama. And she's like, oh my gosh, Ben, take a look at this TikTok video that doesn't mention you. And Ben is like, no, I already know. It's me. I'm the problem. And I'm thinking, Ben, you didn't have to oust yourself here, but you did. So I give you credit for taking accountability. But I'm still wondering, you don't remember what happened 4 years ago? Bro, trust me, you do. You just don't want to talk about what happened. It might have just been a bad date or whatever. And I've been hearing that the TikTok video is nothing too incriminating. So maybe it really was just a big nothing burger. And I don't like burgers like that. So, alrighty, let's get into this conversation they have at this coffee bar. Sara says, like, I'm still a little worried, but like everything else, I'm going to compromise my feelings and beliefs for you, Ben. Kidding. Maybe. Sara, she just continues to just like kind of skirt by this after she made it such a big deal at the end of episode 9. So something does seem off in a weird way, but Ben continues to reassure her and says, like, listen, I'm in this for you. Remember this smile? And it does seem like they're moving past this. They kiss, and that's the end of it. So I guess they're done. This won't come up again, maybe? Maybe it comes up at the altar. What if this lady walks down the aisle and says, no, I'm the one in the TikTok video. Ben, you actually cheated on me. Ooh. Okay, so moving on to Ben meeting Sara's sister and her partner. So yes, this is a big meeting for Ben, I'm sure. Hey, don't mess up. Don't spill things on the table, which he did. And he made this face. Ugh, mamma mia. So Sara explains to her sister and her sister's partner that Ben is the most stable thing in her life. And I gotta wonder, what? You've known this dude for like 4 weeks and he's the most stable thing in your life? I was about to say, you need Jesus. He's the most stable thing in anyone's life, right? Stable person, excuse me. But we'll get there. Sara's sister then replies and says, okay, so Ben goes to church and you don't go to church, so how do you feel that he goes to church? And Sara says, I'm open, and we'll talk about it, but she is open enough to go to church with Ben. But Sara says she's open. She continues to say things like these Lucy things, like, I'm spiritual, I'm open. We're just going to keep praying for her. Come on. And then Sara continues to add and say that they've discussed what would happen if their child were gay, and if they went to a church and this church only believed in marriage between a man and a woman. So I'm going to separate myself from the recap now and just side note, Sara, any church that believes in the word of God is going to believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. This is not me interjecting an opinion here. I'm just saying, churches, they believe in that. So this is the moment where Ben does spill his drink and leaves Sara alone with Sara's sister and her partner. And while Sara's sister and partner have a lot to say, Both of them are not on board with the idea of Sara marrying Ben, and Sara's sister and her partner both agree that we don't like Ben. We're struggling to envision this because, Sara, you've got so many strong opinions on things, and Ben seems like he's in the opposite direction of you, and you gotta imagine that's not gonna work. But Sara decides to add another layer to this onion of drama and say that, yeah, Sara, I don't think this is real right now, and I caution you. And honestly, if this were Monica would probably just clap back. But no, I think that this would be taken more seriously. Instead, it doesn't seem like Sara's taking it as serious as I thought she would. But moving on. And that's it for now with Ben and Sara. I want to move on now to Dave and Lauren because this is the drama you all have been waiting for. Why am I hyping this up like a boxing match? Honestly, Lauren's fighting for her life here because Dave is something else. Alrighty, so Dave and Lauren, of course, have a morning after conversation. And this isn't get your mind out of the gutter. No, this is the conversation after Dave decided to go and party with his friends, not talk to Lauren, and Lauren's thinking, where the heck is my fiance? So let's get into it. Apparently, Dave texted Lauren at 3 a.m. that he was going to stay the night at his apartment. And then Lauren tries to reply, and it's a green bubble. And all my iPhone users, y'all know, if it's a green bubble, the phone is off. Or maybe this person accidentally or intentionally blocked the contact. So this is not a good sign. Listen, I'm just talking from a technical standpoint that, if this were any other guy, I would give him the benefit of the doubt that, yeah, his phone died. But I don't believe Dave. I do not think that his phone died. I think that he actually just might have blocked Lauren in this moment. That's not great. Lauren mentions in a testimonial interview that, hey, I still love Dave and I want this to work out. And I think that we can get there. Lauren, when you're like clawing for anything, like, any strand of hope. Yeah, listen, you're running out of strands here. And I think, they're breaking because I don't know, Lauren, the signs are there. My pastor said it really well last week that red flags are not decorations, they're warning signs. And I think Dave is given a lot of warning signs here. So then Dave finally arrives at 2 p.m., 2 o'clock in the afternoon, to Lauren's apartment. And he mentions to Lauren that it was hard to enjoy the night. Right. It was hard to enjoy the night, right? That winking is terrible. But seriously, Dave, here's why I have a hard time believing that, because he does mention that he ran into some pod people at this bar. You need to keep that in your brain for the couples meetup because we're going to revisit this. Trust me. Molly apparently was at the bar, right? So shocker, right? Dave, who's been mentioning Molly randomly all season long in front of Lauren, now Molly's at the bar. Did Dave, meet Molly? Well, Dave does say, I didn't speak with her, and I think Dave is lying. Like, his nose is growing and popping out the screen. There's absolutely no way Dave, who can't handle his alcohol, clearly, we see that later on in this week of episodes too, but Dave didn't speak to Molly, didn't say hi, didn't actually go over to her. I don't know. And then when Lauren says, listen, I just want to work all this out, Dave says, I feel like you do. I want to just be with you. Dave, you're lying. You do not feel like Lauren, because if you did, you wouldn't stay out until 3 a.m. and not text your fiance or call her and let her know you're safe, but at the same time, not return home? I don't know. Does Dave give like frat boy vibes a bit? Like he's still stuck in that fraternity era of his life? I don't know. I wouldn't know. I wasn't in a fraternity. I'm Greek, but I wasn't in Greek life. So yeah, I still don't think this resolved anything among them, and well, things hit the fan with the next two scenes. So let's get into this one. Dave meeting Lauren's mom. And I'm watching this moment like Dave is so disconnected from this. He's like his green bubble, disconnected. He does not want to be there. But the first thing Dave says after Lauren and her mom hug, it was so weird. He's like, oh, and I'm like, hello. Bruh, act like you've had a human conversation before. It is so weird. You're human, right? Just be human. And then Lauren's mom begins telling some stories, but one note that I caught was that she referenced her mother and her daughter's grandmother, of course, as nonna. And that really is so sweet, because nonna in Italian is grandmother. And I miss my Nona every day. I love her. But Lauren's dad apparently didn't even want to be on camera, so I'm sure this probably made things even more awkward because we find out that Lauren's dad doesn't just want to be on. He doesn't not. How do I even phrase this, guys? Help me out. Lauren's dad, he's not just adverse to being on camera. I don't think he trusts the process at all. So then Dave follows up and says, well, my dad might not make the meeting with me and Lauren because, and I quote, he travels a lot, warm weather guy, and he golfs a lot. Those sound like what I call grade A excuses because he golfs a lot, warm weather guy. Please, be so for real right now, Dave. What are we talking about here? This is your fiance and your dad's excuse is going to be, well, I'm on hole 17. Come on. So then they all three begin joking together about how Dave should describe Lauren to his sister. And then Lauren and her mom say something like, tell her that Lauren's boring, super lame. And then everyone's laughing and then Dave chimes in and says, and I quote, oh, she's not cute, super boring. I hate being around her. Hey, Dave. I don't think you were joking there. And this is that moment where you probably should not have engaged in the joke. Oh boy. And throughout the entire conversation, there was a sense of awkward tension between Lauren and Dave, but Lauren's mom eventually says, hey, our family supports you. And it was in this moment where you were all thinking, oh my gosh, could there be hope for Dave and Lauren? And I'm here to tell you no. And that's because of what happens on this date. So they go bowling, the whole bowling pun of the episode title, which is called Oh Spare Me, I believe. But, well, it doesn't seem like Dave is really engaged in the date. He even misses Lauren throwing a strike. He's like texting off to the side and stuff. And I'm thinking, buddy, can you pay attention to your fiance? This man is not ready to be a husband. And then afterwards, they sit down at, those small tables at the bowling alley. And Dave says, well, speaking to your dad, Lauren, was pretty stressful. And Lauren says, well, it's a lot on my end, too. There's a lot of pressure that your sister doesn't want to meet me either. So Dave's reasoning for his sister not meeting Lauren is that, well, I don't know. I don't really want to waste my sister's time. Bruh. When I tell you I was taken aback in this moment. So you think that your sister meeting Lauren would be a waste of time? You can only go so long lying, Dave, until the truth really does come to the surface, because what's done in the dark will come to light, as you know. And, well, I think this sealed it in Lauren's mind that this is not working. So Lauren says, listen, I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this. And Dave said, I don't really want to have this conversation here, guys. I want to go to the next setting because the producers are telling me so. So they transition to a conversation at an empty theater. And the theater didn't look bad, but boy, was this moment just full of drama. Get it? Drama in a theater? That's only a joke probably Chris from Tate's Take would get. So Dave mentions that, listen, I was so confident in our engagement until we came back home to Minneapolis. That's right, until you had to actually face the reality that you needed to step up and be a man. Wait, I take it back. Sorry, that was bad. Was that mean? I don't know. He then mentions again that his friends reached out to him asking why he's engaged to someone who had a boyfriend going into the apartment. So this story continues to sort of change. The goalposts are moving consistently, but this is the latest that he's gotten. And she's thinking, Lauren's like, wait, what do you mean had a boyfriend going? No. But then Dave says, well, all my friends know him very well, which is different from what he said before, because he said his friends know of him. I don't know. And apparently they were frat bros together. So here we go, guys. Here we go. This is exactly what I thought. I'm like, oh, frat boy era. Dave is still stuck in it. Dave then adds, did you think you were going to come back home and not face this, Lauren? And continues to say, well, you should have ended it with this dude. And Lauren, well, does admit that she didn't really end it. Okay, it's weird. Lauren feels she ended it, but didn't make it explicit. So this is the only time in Love is Blind Season 8 history that I will tell you Dave might have a tiny sliver of a point here, because, Lauren, you probably should have been more explicit in saying, we are not together anymore, this is over, I'm going into the experiment, goodbye. But it sounds like there were some question marks. And the reason I think this is because Lauren says that he had a different interpretation of their time together. So there's a lot of loose ends here, but for the most part, Lauren does deny outright that she had a boyfriend going into the experiment, even though Dave was really gaslighting her in this moment. This is where it starts, y'all, because he keeps doing this. And why do you think that is? When he said that, I'm like, who are you talking to? I felt like he was talking to me and I was about to jump through the screen. Don't do this. Like, fiance or not, this is a human being, okay? And they clearly do not have the best of communication anyway, but the fact that Lauren was trying to explain her side and Dave was like, and why do you think he had a different interpretation? Like, come on, dog. Like, this is not mature of you. So Lauren says, okay, I'll tell you even more. We did hook up a week before the experiment, and this is where I think those who are supporting Dave probably have the strongest argument, but I digress. I want to just know more about this meeting between Dave and Lauren's dad, but apparently Lauren's dad did tell Dave Lauren seemed very ready for an engagement when she left for the show, and it seems like you're not ready. And I think Dave's fragile ego was hurt by this. I mean, he looked hurt. So as Dave's going on about how he felt offended, Lauren says, listen, Dave, you do need to work this thing out among yourself because clearly you're not ready to be a team member with someone else as their life partner. So we thought Dave was taking offense to Lauren's dad, but now Dave is taking offense to Lauren. Dave is in this theater with a shield and a sword, fighting for his life, all right? Because Lauren and Dave, at this point, they're saying everything except for, we're done. Dave is now pointing fingers at Lauren's family in this moment, and as he's doing this, it's weird. He's still saying that he loves her. And then Dave follows up and says, listen, my heart is telling me to walk away from the engagement, but I do want to try. And Lauren's doing one of those like fingers. Well, she doesn't do it literally, but metaphorically she does. It's just like, stop talking, Dave, stop it. But Dave, Lauren, this is where they split. And Dave is so selfish in my opinion because he says, and this is a loose quote, everything was so great and then everything fell on my head. Listen to the language here, guys. My head. I'm growing. This is good for me. This experiment has helped me. When you get engaged, actually when you're in a healthy relationship, let's start there, then you get engaged and then you get married, the language should always be we, not me. We've talked about this before on the channel, guys. What's next? Us, not me. Come on, right? And then in a weird turn of events, Dave in this testimonial interview says, well, actually, Lauren seeing another guy before the pods was pretty normal now that I think about it. Maybe my ego got to me. Lord, help us, because my patience, I was like trying to sit through this without pausing it and just like putting my computer on the ground and think like, what are we doing here, Dave? So you admit that you're wrong out of the situation. You can't admit in front of her that you're wrong. Oh, Lord help us, because this is crazy. So of course they are officially broken up, and Lauren in a testimonial interview leaves us with one more nugget of information. She says, I wrote a heartfelt letter to Dave's sister, and when Dave went to go see her, he didn't give it to her. Oh, David. My suspicions were correct leading up to this moment, which is Dave, it's not that Dave's sister didn't want to meet Lauren. I just think Dave was using that as a crutch and an excuse. Mamma mia, the drama. But don't worry, we're not out of the woods yet with the drama. We'll revisit that in a little bit. But let's move on to a couple of couples that don't have much drama. So let's start with Daniel and Taylor. They go on this putt-putt date, and it's pretty cute, but Daniel says something that is very much a Daniel thing to say. And I quote, I don't think they call me Danny Balls for nothing, end quote. Oh, I mean, listen, there's been a lot of white nonsense on this show, but that was a very Minneapolis thing to say. Am I wrong on that? That's just what it sounds like to me. And they begin chatting about their first dance song and maybe what it could be, but I don't know, I have an option here for them. Maybe it could be, I always feel like somebody's watching. No, too soon? Sorry. No, well, Daniel never really followed her according to the app, so okay, I take it back. But their date seemed like it did go well. Now let's move on to another date that went well, which is Joey and Monica having an engagement photo shoot with Monica's sister. Yes, Monica's sister. The hater is back, and it was actually a genuine heartfelt moment. It seems like Monica had a conversation though with her sister, and boy did Monica probably put her foot down. Monica's sister did say she had a one-on-one conversation after the fam jam and was angry with her. So they all had a conversation together after the photo shoot, and Nicole does apologize to Joey. Nicole eventually reveals, listen, I can tell that y'all love each other a whole lot, and then she gives them her blessing like Monica and Joey were even looking for it. But hey, she did it. It was nice. They hug, and we're moving on because nothing really happens after that. So it's time to check in on Devin and Virginia. Devin does end up meeting Virginia's mom in a moment, which I was wondering, like, when is Devin going to do this? And Virginia's mom seems so sweet. I also think Devin is handling this moment pretty darn well. He's expressing himself well. He really loves Virginia. I'm still worried about Virginia because I don't know what to make of her thank yous or her like nonchalant sort of attitude. Is she in this? Is she not? We'll see. Virginia's mom then reveals that, well, my daughter can be stubborn sometimes, and Virginia takes exception to that. But hey, moms sometimes know their daughter pretty well, I'd imagine, so maybe she is stubborn? I have no clue. Devin's probably thinking, man, if she's stubborn, then boy, I'm not getting out of this prenup. Virginia does reveal, though, that, hey, I feel like Devin and I are in alignment. And maybe? I don't know. I don't know if they are or not. We'll just choose to believe them, right, for right now. But throughout this entire meeting, Devin did the majority of the talking, and I guess that's fine, but Virginia was pretty darn quiet. Maybe that was the way they edited this scene, I have no clue. But yeah, Virginia still, to me, seems a little disconnected. Alrighty, so let's get into their conversation now after Devin met Virginia's mom. And Virginia, they're laying down in bed, right? Virginia looks tired, Devin looks real tired, but they're trying to have a serious conversation. And Virginia asks, hey, if you need to question me about any lingering things in your mind, like serious things, you can do it now. And she's really pushing for this. So after Devin initially says, no, I don't have any more questions, he does ask, how do you feel about us on a physical level? And then he asks her if she likes kissing and hugging him. He's looking for some validation here. Maybe he's a words of affirmation guy. And she says, yeah. I'm not convinced, Virginia. That wasn't convincing. That's as convincing as your thank yous. And I can't do her impression. I can't. But then when the question is flipped and Virginia asks Devin, do you like the kissing and the hugging? Devin says, I love it. So I'm thinking, oh boy, Devin is head over heels and Virginia is hiding. I don't know. Virginia is then again asking Devin, let's talk about the tough things. Let's ask me the hard questions. And I don't know why this seems like such a struggle, but Virginia says, well, all right, I'll get us started. I believe in abortion rights. And I'm thinking, like, that's a hammer to drop. Devin says he goes back and forth about whether, it should just be all of the women's decision or not. And I'm going to be honest, it's a woman's body. It's theirs. Devin, you can have some input, but listen, it's not your body. I'm just saying. So Devin believes a man should have a say-so. And Virginia can see that point of view. But then Devin's like, all right, if we end this for real. If we voted differently, how would you feel? And now I'm thinking, why would you even ask that question, Devin? Is there something we don't know? Virginia says it might be fine, but Devin reveals that, well, my family votes conservative. And this is exactly what I thought. Why would you ask that question, right? If you didn't think that maybe, oh boy, I do vote Republican, and then Virginia votes Democrat. Oh, so listen. This was the moment where I felt Devin took some offense because Virginia says, well, my family doesn't vote Republican because we're black. And Devin says, well, my dad is black. And I'm thinking like, oh, shoot, is Devin upset here? I don't know. But they kind of leave it off that, right? And then they go to bed, unless there was something off camera that we didn't see. So that was a lot, guys. But now it's time to get into the section I know you've been waiting for, which is the most dramatic moment of season 8 so far, in my opinion, which is the tubing date they go on and the pod reunion. Honestly, everybody going down this hill scared me. I thought Joey was going to do a backflip. I didn't necessarily know if someone was going to fall off their tube, but it did seem like a fun, exhilarating time. Listen, I'd go down the hill too. It looked pretty cool. But I'm wearing a ton of layers of clothes, so if I fall off, I don't get too hurt. But Ben does say, when he gets, I think, to the actual cabin, it's like a lodge cabin, when the guys are together and the girls are together, he reveals to the guys, like, listen, maybe I am struggling with outside opinions, and, well, everyone this season is apparently struggling with outside opinions. You have Ben with the TikTok nonsense, you have Dave with his friends. I mean, how many more people just want to go and try to be the face of this season? Like, can we stop with the outside noise? And then, in Love is Blind fashion, we get past pod contestants and maybe some couples who broke up to join the party, so Lauren is first up. And I found it weird how the guys reacted. Like, the girls were very welcoming. Of course, I get it, women's quarters, they spend some time. But then you have Devin asking, where's my boy? In reference to Dave. If he's your boy, listen, I'm just telling you. The company you keep is a reflection of your character. I don't know. And Ben then goes over to say hi to Lauren, and he asks a question to her, and I was so upset at Ben. Ben asked Lauren, you didn't come with Ben? Like, bro, come on. And then Taylor checks him immediately and says, too soon. Good job, Taylor. That's right. She's a girl's girl. And then who comes strolling in next? Molly joins the party. I don't know how Molly wasn't cold. I would be wearing a jacket, an undershirt, and then also like, those like thermals or whatever. It looked cold, okay? But Molly joins, and then after her, Brittany joins. Remember, it's Brittany. Come on now. And then, of course, we get all the conversations that start to happen. Oh, so dramatic. There is one comment that Sara makes that I thought was really weird when the girls are having their conversation. Sara says, oh yeah, our bed frame has broken already. And this confirms what I'm sure a lot of people have been saying, especially Sharonda from Pay or Wait, even Chris from Tate's Take. I think Sarah's in this only for the physical with Ben. That's about it. But Lauren and Molly do have a conversation shortly thereafter, and I was expecting like some drama, but not really. But Molly does tell Lauren about something she heard. Molly told Lauren that a pod girl told her that she saw a girl all over Dave at the bar that night that Dave didn't return to the apartment. So at this point, Lauren's like, ooh, I dodged a bullet. Thank you, Jesus. But Molly, I think, is right about Lauren deserving a fiance that will ride for her, because Lauren was gaslit. She was thrown in the ringer. It was not right. Alrighty, so let's move on to Devin and Brittany's conversation. It was pretty short-lived, but Brittany does reveal again the reason why she was so adverse to taking that next step with Devin is because when she shared her story with Devin in the pods, his reaction was immature. And honestly, I get why Brittany feels that way. I also understand why Devin was like, well, you didn't really say you're not interested in girls anymore, so maybe it's time to just move on. He probably could have reacted better, of course, but I understand why they just want their separate ways on the pods. Brittany then says, well, hey, you and Virginia seem like the most genuine couple. Have you met Joey and Monica and Daniel and Taylor? I don't know. And hey, we still got past contestants strolling in. We got Dave arriving to the party because, yeah, he's a past contestant now. They broke up, right? It was just so weird to see the guy's reaction again to Dave coming in. Joey shouts his name and cheers like he's at a football game. Why are they such a fan of Dave? What did they do in the men's quarters, man? It's weird. And I found it really odd that none of the guys were checking Dave after knowing what they know. Not even asking, like, Dave, is there any sort of regret that you feel on how you handled the situation? Or maybe the other guys just don't care to know the details. But regardless, I'm sitting here checking Dave. If I'm in this little party, right? You gotta ask Dave, like, bro, you said you've been growing over this experience, but do you harbor any sort of regret in the way you handled everything? I don't know. And after Dave shows up, Madison is not too far behind, but she arrives with pink hair. Listen, Madison would. That's all I'll say. And then after Madison, in comes Meg and Mason holding hands together. They're dating. Mason reveals they've been hanging out and it's going really good. And Meg seems to agree. I don't know. This is just very odd. I did not expect this. And then Madison, in her mean girl fashion, says in a testimonial interview that she's glad her and Mason didn't work out and end up together. That is such a mean girl thing to say. And then the last past contestant arrives, and it's Alex. And then, of course, Madison's got comments to make. Madison then tells Lauren, I haven't met him yet. He's not much. Listen, she's a mean girl. That's bad. Oh, boy. Madison does claim, though, she got a text message from Alex that said, and I quote, oh my God, meet me at the airport. At least give me a hug, end quote. Alex is thirsty. You want some water, homeboy? I gotcha. But they apparently were talking a lot on the phone, so they really didn't see face to face. And then one day Alex tells her that Meg messaged him. Madison did feel that Alex was sort of pitting her and Meg against one another, and I don't think that's right. But I also don't know if I believe Madison too much because she's also like kind of a mean girl too. So it's like, where do we go from here? Madison said Alex told her F Mason. But funny, I do agree with Madison in this regard where she says, funny how he's so willing to say, man, forget Mason after you left the pods with nobody. So now it's like, oh, now that you've maybe seen an Instagram photo of me, now you're willing to ride for me? And then shortly thereafter, Molly and Dave have a conversation. I was really interested in this one. Dave reveals to Molly, listen, I defended Lauren. You liar. Listen, Dave should audition for the live-action Pinocchio because we know Disney's doing another one in 10 years. But come on. Dave then continues to reveal to Molly things he probably shouldn't and says, yeah, Lauren and I hooked up. I don't know if Lauren wants that out there, but goodness gracious. But props to Molly. She's a girl's girl as well. She's riding for Lauren. She's like, that's my girl. Stop talking down about her. How dare you? You handled this poorly. And during the conversation, I did sort of notice the Red Bull sign on the wall. I think it was during this conversation. I can't remember, but I did notice a Red Bull sign, so shout out Red Bull. Dave then tells Molly that, hey, my sister, I told her that we broke up, and she reacted with a teary-eyed emoji. I can't remember if Dave told Molly this or if it was in a testimonial interview, but Dave's sister told Dave, hey, I'm here for you if you need me. I don't think Dave's sister was against Lauren. I think it was Dave himself. Dave does mention he regrets how everything went down and he wishes he could have processed it differently and that he still loves her and he should have stuck up for her. I think he said this not to Molly but in a testimonial as well. Still, very weird behavior for somebody who literally sabotaged his own engagement. So, of course, Dave and Lauren have a conversation. So awkward. Now, he does sound so thrilled. Like, this man's eyes are red. I mean, mamma mia. He does apologize to Lauren, and then Lauren says, well, you didn't really text me. You said you wanted to text me, but you didn't. And Dave said, well, you didn't text me either. Duh, bro. She's not going to text you. If you really wanted her, you would have continually chased after her. And I'm not saying, like, chased after the breakup. I mean, like, during the relationship, continue to chase after her and date her, right? But no, man, you decided to believe your friends who were frat bros doing keg stands at 3 a.m. Come on. And then Lauren says, listen, I'm past rekindling our relationship, and good for Lauren. So yes, Dave and Lauren are officially done. And that is the most dramatic moment of week 3. And well, everything there on after, not too bad, but there are moments after the pod reunion, right? So let's check in now on Ben and Sara. Well, Sara, in a surprising turn of events, is attending Ben's church for a Sunday service. They're sitting up top, but Sara looks a little uncomfortable through it all. I'm not here to judge, though, their body language, and also not here to judge the sermon because it was taken out of context and clearly cut up a certain way for the audience to make an opinion, if that makes sense. But she does reveal in a testimonial interview that she couldn't really relate to the sermon because it didn't align with her feelings. I will say to that, not every sermon is going to make you feel comfortable because sometimes the Holy Spirit makes you feel a little uncomfortable to sort of convict you and take you out of what, well, you know. But she did say she would attend again. So I'm praying for her and Ben, of course, and I just pray that the Holy Spirit would just continue to do the work. I mean, listen, church isn't for people who are healed and fully ready. Sometimes it's for people who just don't know Jesus and they're broken, and that's okay. Listen, that's what it is. So Devin and Virginia, let's check in on them. Well, they didn't go to church, but they were practicing their first dance together, and that's like about it because there's really nothing else to take away. I don't know. Okay, moving on. Joey and Monica, they have a pickleball date, and I gotta ask one question here, guys. What is Joey wearing? You know that meme, the what are those, like for shoes? Is there one for like hats? Because Joey, that ain't working. That ain't working. And listen, for as quick as we're going through these dates, that's how quick it felt in real time because they were chopping through all these dates. It's time for Daniel and Taylor. Now let's check in on what they're doing. Oh, Christmas stuff. Shocker. They're doing a Christmas ornament photo shoot. And you know what? Low-key kind of cute because they want to give it out as wedding favors. Kind of, okay, I get it. Alrighty, y'all, so it's now one more week until weddings, and it's, of course, the moments you've all been waiting for. Wedding dress shopping and tuxedo shopping. These moments lacked like any impact. It was just so ridiculous. There's like really nothing to glean from these moments, but we'll get through it the best we can. We'll start with the women. Vanessa Lachey joins the party to remind you that, yes, I'm still a host. And then she walks away and never see her again this week. It's ridiculous. Sarah's sister is there and cheering like she didn't just have a different feeling a night ago. Like, girl, you switched up quick. I noticed there were hardly any parents there. There were a lot of friends, of course, and maybe family friends. But Monica comes out with her dress and, well, it's very classic, I think. Is that the best word to use? But Monica's sister didn't show up, which I thought was really interesting. I thought she was locked in and she approved of them. I don't know. And then Sara comes out in her dress and picks her first choice as well. Monica and Sara, first choice. They're like, we're in, we're out, I don't care. Or maybe they do care. I thought it was really cool to see in the crowd, Taylor and Daniel's moms are sitting together. So Taylor comes out in her first choice, and shocker, she actually doesn't pick it. And that's mainly because Taylor's mom was just like, don't love everything in the top half. So Taylor goes back and says, thank God I got a mom who's honest. And then, boom, oh man, picks the right dress for her. And you know what? It looks pretty good. I will say, though, that the bottom part of the dress is, what's the word? I almost said voluminous. No, it's just like poofy, you know? It's definitely the best of the choices so far, in my opinion. But then Virginia comes out, and her first choice is really pretty. The train is really long, of course. I mean, mamma mia. But her and Taylor's dresses are the best of the bunch, of course, in my opinion. But when Virginia starts crying up there, and her mom comes up, it's like the most emotion Virginia's shown all season. And I'm thinking, man, maybe they will work out, you know? Okay, so let's move on to the Tuxedo Shopping, and it is boring. A wild Nick Lachey appears, and, the guys, some of them pick tuxes, and some of them pick suits, and boy, the suits look so bad. I mean, what was it? Ben and Joey's suits looked really bad. I thought Devin's, it was giving me prom, in the 8th grade. I'm just saying. But at least Daniel has a tux on, and it looked like it worked for him too. So, yeah, this was a whole mess. Alrighty, so now 6 days until weddings, and this is the last section for week 3 of Love is Blind, season 8. So, Joey and Monica making pizzas. Awesome, wonderful, literally nothing of note. Moving on, Sara and Ben, they're making healthy dinners, and they took selfies of their air fryers together. Why is this in the show? Finally, moving on to Devin and Virginia, and it looks like, I thought Virginia showing emotion at the wedding dress fitting, that was her turning over a new leaf, but nah, dog, I think Devin is checking out. Devin mentions, I got a lot on my mind here. We got the tournament, my birthday week, and the wedding week. Crazy how the wedding week was the last thing you mentioned. Oof. But Virginia says that she's going to try to come to the game, and he didn't sound very thrilled. I thought he would. I thought this was like their dream, like Virginia with the kids at the games and stuff, right? And maybe this is why. It's because Virginia brought with her printed out sheets of the prenup, and Devin said, yeah, I'll read through it. Maybe my lawyers will read through it with me too. Devin definitely doesn't seem sold on this, though, and he presses some questions to Virginia, like, 1, what would you say to people who ask, why would you get a prenup if you're not planning on getting a divorce? And Virginia has to explain again, like, that's not what this is, bro. But Devin is not sold. Devin reiterates here that I'm hung up a bit. I need a lawyer, and I want my parents to look at it. And they just seem so awkwardly sitting together. Yeah, that's how week 3 really ends, on that cliffhanger conversation. Just something about this feels very off to me. And I think Devin is not going to say I do at the altar. They'll get there, but I think Devin walks away because of the prenup. And hey, everyone's got their thoughts and opinions on it. I get it. But, I mean, I don't know. I do feel like Virginia financially and in terms of her investments is in a different place than Devin. So this is why she's thinking of a prenup. You know what I mean? We'll see what happens. But next week, like I mentioned, is episode 12, the finale for season 8, weddings. Who says I do? Who says I don't? I'm dropping a predictions video before I hit play on that, of course. Shout out Netflix. Thank y'all. But I'm going to drop a predictions video, and let's see how many I get right and how many I get wrong. So if you don't want to miss that, hit the big red button below. Subscribe to the channel. Tap on that bell. And like this video if you haven't already. Get loud in the comments too, and let me know. Do y'all think Devin and Virginia last? Who's the next couple to take the next step, whether it be a positive step or a negative step? We'll see what happens. But y'all, again, thank you so much for sticking with me this week 3 recap. Woo, this was a fun one. That drama though, listen, y'all, I can't wait to have a conversation in the comments with each and every one of you. We have a lot to say, I'm sure. Alrighty, y'all, again, thanks so much for watching. God bless you guys, and I'll catch you at the next screening. Man, remind me never to go tubing with people from Minneapolis. This is dramatic.